Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
Well, I'll tell you. I've been putting off making this video for weeks because
Staying Delulu is the Salulu.
But after my latest flare-up, I had to finally admit to myself that I have an acrylate allergy. I've been glued to Reddit, Facebook groups, and anywhere where I can get advice, but I've found that so many people don't know about these allergies or how they form. But the worst part about all this is that unlike those folks, I can't claim ignorance. I knew the risks, and I was arrogant enough to think that there was no way it could happen to me. So, let's do my probably last set of jail nails ever while I talk about how I ended up here. So in this set, you can see I'm using polygel. What you don't see is that I ran out of KDS glue for the tips, so I dug a bottle of the Beetles gel glue that came with the tip set I bought a while ago out of my drawer, and I thought, it's gonna be just fine. My application is good. I don't get product on my skin. What could possibly go wrong? Famous last words. I have been doing nails for 14 years. I primarily did dip powder and acrylics, and earlier this year I decided I finally wanted to start doing designs and nail art, so I started doing gel and I loved it because there was no smell and you had unlimited time to play with the products. I mostly had gelish and D&D gels, but my love of nail art grew quickly and my wallet did not. So I stupidly began buying Amazon brands like Beetles, Gooi, and Modelones, whatever. I kept seeing people rip these brands apart, and I'd think, it's not the product, it's them. They just don't know how to apply it correctly. I swore it wouldn't happen to me because my application was good, and I was always careful not to get any on my skin. Wrong. What I didn't know is that these unregulated brands from overseas have been known to lie on their SDS, and if you don't know what that means, it's a safety data sheet which lists all the chemical ingredients used and in what concentrations. Independent testing by chemists who created Light Elegance Jim McConnell showed that Beetles contain much higher concentrations of HEMA than they claimed, above 35%. Now, HEMA stands for hydroxyethyl methacrylate, and I've recently gained a chemistry degree from the internet, but most nail products contain methacrylates. It's what bonds a product to the nail. However, HEMA is a very, very small molecule and is highly allergenic. So even if you do everything right, the high concentrations of HEMA mixed with the other crappy ingredients that they're putting in there makes it so that the product doesn't cure properly and those HEMA molecules seep right through your nail plate. That's why the base layer that has direct contact with your nail plate is the most important to cure fully, and the top layer, which may also be touching your skin. Obviously, there are many other factors here, like your immune system, but I'd never been allergic to anything, so I truly didn't think this would ever happen to me. But it can happen to anyone, even if you have no other allergies. There's also the lamp, and this is where I think I also went wrong. I use a Lavinda lamp, which is 54 watts and cures at 365 nanometers plus 405 nanometers, which is pretty standard across the industry. This lamp was $40, so not high quality by any means. Good lamps are usually 150 plus. Picking a good lamp is so, so important, and that's why it's recommended that you get the lamp that matches your gel sets. And if your brand of gels doesn't make their own lamp, it's a pretty good indication that you shouldn't use it. Each brand tests their lamps rigorously with their own gels, so only they can guarantee that it will cure their gels. I'd only had this lamp for 3 weeks at the time of filming this video, and the first mistake is that it was cordless, which that alone reduces the power of the lamp, regardless of how convenient it is.
Oh, but then it wasn't Beetles that did it. It was the lamp.
So here's the thing. You can have the best lamp in the world, and there's still a much higher probability of developing an allergy with an unregulated product that is over 30% HEMA and other allergy-causing chemicals. Because we are human, at some point it can end up on your skin. And even good lamps have a shelf life. They will eventually begin to deteriorate, and you won't really know when that's happening. And by the time you figure it out, you have an allergy, especially when you're using these cheap brands. Also, I only use the Beetles glue on my left hand. On my right hand, I decided to use dual forms with the polygel because I liked the way it looked better. Now remember that little detail because it's pertinent. So, right after the set, like the next morning, the proximal nail fold, which is the skin around the nail, was itching on my left thumb. I thought nothing of it. Maybe I was a little rough in cuticle prep and I had nicked myself. So as the day went on, I forgot about it and it stopped itching. On my way home from work that night, I started itching again. I slapped some cuticle oil and called it a day. The next day was Halloween, so I wasn't going to have time to do anything to my nails. I woke up and my left thumb was itching again, but this time it was also swelling. I'm thinking, great, I gave myself paronychia, which is a cuticle infection. But I sanitize all my tools with Lucicide and I also steam sanitize. So I thought, okay, maybe it's because I nicked myself and I touched my dog or something. But then my left pointer and middle fingers started itching too. I was in complete denial. I looked for every excuse in the book as to why this would be happening, but deep down, I knew. So the day after Halloween, I filed everything off. Cuticles on my left hand were swollen and they began to ooze this like clear liquid. That's when I called my doctor, and she'd never heard of an acrylate allergy and had no idea why this was happening. Maybe eczema, environmental allergy? So she referred me to an allergist, and I have a patch test scheduled December 20th with the most common acrylates. In the meantime, I started doing trial and error, which I very much don't recommend. Acrylate allergies are lifelong and they only get worse. You can't desensitize yourself to them, and there's no cure. So, the last thing you should do is keep trying products until you know for sure what you're allergic to. But, like I said, I chose to stay in denial land. I know it's dumb for most people because it's just nails, but y'all, I'm like legit depressed. Nails have been my most consistent passion since I was 13 years old. My nail table is my happy place. It's what I do to unwind after a long, stressful work week. So to have that ripped away from me and to know that it was my own dumb fault just really sucks. So I set out to find a way that I could keep doing this, and I'm thinking, it's okay, I can still do my nails. I can just make press-ons and glue them on. So I did just that. And within 4 hours, my cuticles on my left hand were itching again. So it would appear that I'm also allergic to cyanoacrylate, which is in literally every nail glue and other glues such as surgical glues, liquid band-aids, and crazy glue. Although honestly, I'm really hoping that I reacted because I used crappy cheap gloves from Shein and I got gel on my gloves, which probably seeped through. There's a pattern here with crappy stuff from overseas, but I digress. I then learned that to stop the chemicals from penetrating, especially something as small as HEMA, you need 8 mil professional gloves. I also got myself an N95 with a respirator because soaking
Off is bad because you're leaving your fingers in all the chemicals, and there may be some potentially uncured, but filing off is also bad because it exposes you to the dust and flares your allergy.
Oh, it's fine. I'll just take some Benadryl. Wrong again. Allergy shots and pills won't touch this allergy, only steroids, which you really don't want to abuse and overuse, especially over nails. Trust me, y'all don't want this. It's a massive pain in the derriere. And to add to that, I've now learned acrylates are like in freaking everything. Thankfully, my reaction is pretty mild and still localized to my fingers. I have not flared up in my eye again, so I haven't reacted to my shampoos or moisturizers. Some people's nails peel off from the bed entirely and their fingers break out into painful, pus-filled, bloody blisters. However, with continued exposure, it can get that bad, since you're more likely to develop allergies to other acrylates once you have one, which is why HEMA is called the gateway allergen. Some people have this so bad that they can't use a lot of skincare products, sunscreen, makeup, no eyelash glues, wig glues, etc. So basically everything that makes you feel pretty. Worst of all, acrylates are in many medical supplies, including diabetic pumps, surgical bone replacements, skin adhesives, and all dental bonders. If you're a nail tech, a bad enough acrylate allergy can be career ending because you won't even be able to be around this stuff. So, do you still want to hit buy now on your cart full of cheap, unregulated products? If you do, keep watching.
But any product can cause an allergy.
I've never understood why people go so hard to defend an unregulated overseas company that doesn't care that it's poisoning its consumers and blatantly lies about their chemical makeup. Yes, obviously misusing anything with harsh chemicals such as methacrylates will cause an allergy, but the chances of getting one when you inevitably make a mistake during curing or application are significantly less when you use reputable brands that test their products, test their lamps, and don't put allergens and harmful toxins in their products. I am willing to bet my whole retirement that if I hadn't used Beetles, I would be allergy-free to this day. Now, due to the insane rise in acrylate allergies, companies are starting to make cleaner products. You will notice the rise in popularity of HEMA-Free products, especially in the cheap polish world. So because I clearly don't learn my lesson, I was still trying to get away with not paying $15 a bottle of polish, so I decided to try Canny. They have gorgeous bottles and they claim to be HEMA-free, healthy, blah, blah. I adhered some tips with the Light Elegance Jimmy Gel and was surprised to see that I had no reaction for over 24 hours. The next day, I decided to do a design with the Canny polish. I did not get a drop on my skin and was super careful. Within 2 hours, my left thumb was itchy again. Are you seeing the pattern here? Followed again by my left pointer and middle. So I did some more research, and it turns out that Canny is owned by Venalisa, which is another brand in the list of cheap, unregulated Amazon polishes. These cheap brands claiming to be HEMA-free Just replace the hydroxyethyl methacrylate with hydroxypropyl methacrylate, or HPMA, which is slightly better than HEMA with larger molecules, but it's just as bad for someone who already has an allergy. I'm still recovering from that last flare-up caused by Canny, but at least I have hope that I may be able to use Light Elegance and some other reputable brands. I also went ahead and ordered some stuff from Canadian brand Bio Seaweed Gel, which has no methacrylates at all and provides their SDS right on their website. Guys, if the company you're ordering from doesn't provide an SDS on their site or it isn't readily available, run the other way. Look, I get it. Good brands are expensive, but I just threw out $200 worth of polishes with HEMA and I'm gifting my beloved $300 D&D collection to my mom. I have literally had to spend double because I now have to overhaul my collection to hypoallergenic products because I don't want to risk giving anybody else an allergy or flaring up when I do someone else's nails. I put that in quotes because there's really no such thing, but what I mean is products that won't flare your allergy and are much cleaner. So do yourself a favor and just start with those. I don't care if I get flamed for this, it has to be said. If you're a nail tech and you're using these cheap brands on your paying, unsuspecting clients that are trusting you with their nail health, shame on you. Everyone starting out wants to build a collection fast and cheap, but I'd rather go to a tech that has 5 quality polish colors than 50 Beetles ones. Folks, please educate yourselves on at least the basic brands. If you go to a tech or a salon to get your nails done and you see Beetles, Modelones, Born Pretty, or anything with a small, cheap-looking plastic bottle and a name that you probably can't pronounce, just leave. Just freaking leave. D&D has sales all the time. They're having one right now. And while they aren't the cleanest option, it's nowhere near as bad as those other brands, and you can literally get them for $5 a bottle. D&D uses bis-HEMA, which means that they've combined the HEMA molecule with other stuff and made it a bigger molecule that can't penetrate your nail plate or is less likely to. They also have the matching lacquer for $5. There is no excuse to be using all that toxic garbage on paying customers.
But I use it and my clients are all fine.
For many people, it can take years of built-up exposure to this stuff to develop an allergy, especially if you're applying it correctly. But proper application does not make the stuff safe. You've been lucky, that's all. Quit while you're ahead and buy some decent stuff. It is insane watching licensed professionals argue for a brand that is literally toxic to their clients and themselves. The main one getting exposed constantly to this stuff is a technician. So why do you want to shorten the lifespan of your career by using crappy toxic stuff? So, what was supposed to be an account for showing my nail art has turned into an account about acrylate allergies and how to live with them. I've looked everywhere and there is such little information on these allergies and the products people use to get around them, but I'm not here to gatekeep, so I'll be the guinea pig, I guess. I've tried other things since making this video and I've ordered a variety of different products to find something that works for me. I'll be talking about it in future videos. Now, I know what you're thinking, girl, it's not that deep, just use regular polish, damn. Well, no, because my nails are literally the worst, and it's not because of enhancements. They've been like this since I was a kid, and I take every supplement known to man. If you look at them wrong, they break. My nail beds are short and stubby, and they are literally paper thin, and they hurt when something touches them too hard. Again, they've always been like this since I was a kid, which is why I started doing press-ons and then dip powder since I was like 14. I haven't tried dip powder again yet, but the base is cyanoacrylate, so I'm not super hopeful. We shall see once this flare-up clears up. I did try the sticky tabs for the press-ons, and they're absolutely terrible. They move around, they dig into my cuticle, and I can't even put my pants on without them popping off. So I will hold off on doing anything crazy until after my allergy patch test, but I wanted to make this video because it was clear from my Reddit post that so many people have no idea the dangers of nail products. Even my doctor didn't know. I'm guilty of this too. We get so wrapped up in the fun of doing nails and the colors and designs that we forget these are live toxic chemicals that are used industrially. And your nails are very porous, so everything you put on them is going into your body. It may be too late for me, and I may be truly screwed and have to switch to regular polish for life, but if this video saves at least one person from suffering the same fate as me, then it was worth it. People have argued with me left and right online since I've made a post about my allergy, and it's so disheartening. I just want to shake them because they're so wrong and they just want to delude themselves into thinking they can continue to use these products on themselves and others with no consequences and without having to spend a small fortune on quality products. I know this because I was that person. I didn't listen to all the negative reviews and warnings about Beetles and I scoffed it off as they just don't know what they're doing. So take a deep breath, do some introspection, and dig deep within yourself. What is the real reason you're defending and continuing the use of these products after being told by so many how dangerous they are? It's not worth it. I can lead a horse to water, and I wish I could make a drink, but I can't. All I can do is share my story and hope that you'll be wiser than I was and won't end up like me. If you've made it this far, thanks for watching. Subscribe to my YouTube channel where I'll be doing more in-depth reviews of hypoallergenic products, videos, and allergy tips. And feel free to ask any questions you may have.
An eternity later.